Hey guys, welcome back. Nice exciting video over here. We'll add another dimension to your ACL. We'll include the time as part of the ACL checking. For example, let's say I have a network there where I don't want a certain traffic to go in my network or go out of my network, but I want to do it based on the time of the day. So for example, let's say let me bring up a network over here. I have this network down here where I have this 192.168.1.0 network, the same network that I've been using for my examples. I don't want people on this network or the users on this network to be able to telnet out, let's say to R3 during work hours, because work hours the routers are in use, so I don't want them to mess around with it during the work hours. So what I can do is I can write my normal ACL, which allows us the ability to permit or deny traffic. But at the same time, what I can do is I can write an access control entry, the ACE, based on a specific time. In order to do that, the first thing that I need to do is define the time. So I will define a time. For example, I'll say my time for work hours. This is not the syntax. This is just giving you an example. Work hours is Monday through Friday from, let's say, 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. And on Saturday, it's from 9 a.m. to, let's say, 1 p.m. So I can define a time which states my work hours. Now, once I'm done with that, and I call this time a time range, I'll give it a name of work hours. When I go into my ACL, whether it's a extended numbered ACL or a named ACL, I can say I want to deny the 192.168.1.0 network accessing the 192.168.3.0 network for the purposes of telnet, but only during this deny statement will only come into effect during the time range called work hours. So let's say it's not work hours, it's past 5 o'clock on, let's say, a Monday. So it's not work hours, it's non-work hours. This deny statement, because it's linked up to this time range, will be inactive, so it will not take the action even if the traffic is going from 1 to 3. It's going to fall into the next statement, which might be the permit IP any statement. But bottom line is, this particular line, which is linked to the time range, will only be active based on the time of the day that it is supposed to be active on, defined by the work hours. So I have the ability to create a time range and link it up. And that's what we will be doing in this particular video. So a lot of fun in terms of giving you another dimension to your ACLs. So we'll take a look at what a time-based ACL does. I gave you an overview already. We'll go through the slides. We'll take a look at the ACL configurations based on time and a couple of examples. So first of all, time-based ACLs allows you the ability to apply ACL rules based on particular times of the day of the week, or day of the month, basically time. You can make a granular information of permit or deny conditions you have set to control the traffic into and out of your network based on what? Based on the time of the day. This offers you more control rather than just completely blocking a particular type of traffic. You can say, oh, I want to block this traffic at a certain amount of time. So for example, in this bullet, I'm saying if you wish to allow users access to the internet during lunch hours but not during work hours, you have the ability to put an ACL saying, or web traffic, for example, deny TCP. I can just say any EQ web, which is 80, but then rather than just completely blocking them, I can say only block them during time range called work hours, which I wouldn't need to define. So other than that, if the deny doesn't take place, I will do my normal permit IP any. But it's not for the entire ACL. Whenever you apply a time range, it is applied for a specific line inside the ACL. So the time range application is for the ACE, not to the complete ACL. Something that you need to keep in mind. All right. So how do I do it? How do I create this time range? The time range that you have to create can be done based on two things. Let me give you an example of that. It is done by using a command, a global configuration command called time range. And you give the time range a name, case sensitive. Let's say lunchtime, as an example. Lunch underscore time. Once I specify the name, it puts me into a subconfig mode. In here, you have two options. You can use an option known as periodic. Periodic is a recurring time. For example, I can say periodic on a particular day, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, for example. I would have 3 periodic statements. Or if I want to do it during the during the weekdays, there's a keyword called weekdays. Now, weekdays is Monday through Friday. It's a keyword that automatically means Mondays through Fridays. And then you can say periodic weekdays from 9 to 24-hour clock to 1700, which is PM, 5 p.m. So 9 to 5 periodic weekdays. You can also do in the same time range periodic weekend. Weekend means Saturday, Sunday, and on Saturday, Sunday, actually lunchtime would not be that. Lunchtime would be 12 to 13, 12 to 1, and maybe on the weekend, lunchtime starts at 11:30 to 12:30, just as an example on the weekend. All right. When you have two periodic statements, it is an OR operation between the two. So for this time range to be active, it needs to be this time or this time. So during the weekdays between 12 to 1, during the weekends from 1:30 to 12:30. Again, 24-hour clock. Once I define this time range, it means nothing. It will be either active or deactive or inactive based on the time of the day or the periodic that I have. Now, in order to apply it, I go to my ACL, create the normal ACL. It could be numbered or named. I would say deny. I want to deny. Let's say that example for the internet. You can say any EQ80, and this would deny web traffic completely, but I don't want to deny it completely. I only want to deny it during, or actually not deny it, sorry. I would need to permit it during the permit TCP any time range and I would say lunchtime. And now it's only permitting TCP any EQ80 during lunchtime. Now for the rest of the time, what do I want to do? Deny TCP any EQ80 without any time range. So the time range over here is specifically applied to the first line. The second line does not have it. TCP any EQ80 blocks it. So if it's not this time, it's going to be blocked. But don't forget, you need to permit the rest of the traffic. So in this ACL, I would have a third line, which would permit the rest of the traffic. Block TCP 80 and permit the rest. So the sequence of events, just to recap, would be if it is lunchtime, it's going to do the permit statement because this line will be active and this permit would take place if the user is trying to go to the web. But if it's not lunchtime, this line is completely inactive. So it falls down to this line which says deny TCP any 80. All right. If it's not web traffic, allow it. If it's telnet ping, allow that. Now, the other aspect of the time range is a component known as the absolute. Let's say this is a policy that I want to take effect, but I don't want it to take effect immediately. I want this to go into effect from the 1st of next month. So one of the things that I could do over here is I can specify a command called absolute. What does an absolute command do? It specifies a start of this particular time range based on a specific time and a date. So for example, I can say 00, which is midnight, 1st April 2019. So when you put an absolute as well in a time range, which is not required, but if you do, now this becomes an and between the periodics and the absolute. So absolute needs to match and the periodic needs to match for the time range to be active. So if it's, let's say, it is weekdays, it is from, it's 12:30 on Wednesday, okay? But it is this month, it's March. So if it's March, it's not going to take effect because why? The time range hasn't started yet. So that's where the absolute comes in. Absolute allows you the ability to have a specific time for this particular time range to go into effect. So it allows you to bring in the actual time rather than a recurring time. Recurring time can be specified based on periodic. Just to recap, when you have multiple periodics within a time range, you have a couple of periodics. This is an or statement. But when you couple it with an absolute, it's an and. So it's an or between the two periodics, either one of them true, okay, and the absolute is true, the time range becomes active. If, let's say, absolute is true, but none of the periodics are true, none of them are true, it becomes inactive. Or for that matter, let's say the periodics are true, but the absolute has not started yet. Guess what? Because it's an and operation, it's again going to be inactive. So for the time range to be active, either one, because it's an or operation between the two periodics, either one of the periodics has to be up and the absolute has to be up. If those conditions are met, then it is an active time range. Good, everybody? So with this in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at some examples that I've given you guys over here, and then also the syntax. So you can configure time range based on the time range name command. You can do an absolute, which specifies a single point time period for which the time range is valid, a specific date and time. At periodic, which is a recurring time. For example, over here, I can say lunchtime is between 12 to 1. Again, 1 you don't write as 1, you write it in a 24-hour clock format. Work hours, you can say periodic. You can have multiple periodics, but when you have multiple periodics, it becomes a, I need to change this, multiple periodics, it's an or statement between them. All right, some configuration examples over here. Lunchtime is between 12 to 1 p.m. on weekdays, which applies on the Monday through Friday. So I'll say lunchtime, time range lunchtime, periodic weekdays, which is automatically Monday through Friday, 12 to 1. Example 2, work hours is between 9 to 5 p.m. on what? On weekdays, and from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. The or operation is used when you have two periodic statements in a time range. I specified that already. Time range work hours, and it says 9 to 5 and 9 to 1. 9 to 5 because 17 is 5, and 9 to 1. Two periodics, one for weekdays, one for Saturday. So if you have a specific day, you can mention the day directly over here. Now you can also have a specific validity for a time range. So for example, I want this time range to come into effect. Let's do it based on our time over here. Let's say 1st of April 2019. So next month ends at the end of the year. So I can basically say, hey, listen, this time range over here starts on the 1st of April and ends on the 31st of December 2019. So this time range, weekdays, lunch hours, will be in effect, but only after the 1st of April till the end of the year. All right. Now, You also have the ability to just put a start time. If you just put a start time, means it will start on that day and it's going to go on forever. So you don't need to put in like a bookend at the end. So you can leave it open-ended. You can say start on this date for this periodic time. All right, these are three different examples that you can take a look at over here, but we'll also do some implementations over here, and that's coming up next, right over here. So on this example over here that you have, I have a network diagram which you're accustomed to, network 1, 2, and 3, the LAN segments, the serials between R1, R2, and R3, all rerouting, clean config, and my example. Blocking the 192.168.1.0 network from accessing the 192.168.3.0 network for telnet during lunch hours, which is between 12 and 1 on Monday through Friday. Monday through Friday would be weekdays. Rather than writing 5 periodics, I can just say periodic weekdays from 12 to 1 is lunchtime. And during that lunchtime, I want to block them from doing what? Telnet to my 3 network. So if you take a look at over here, I've created a numbered ACL, access-list 101, normal deny from 1 to 3 for this traffic, but then I have linked it up, linked the entire ACE to what? To lunch hours, which is between this time to that time. And if it's not that time, it's going to not do the deny statement. It will allow it, permit IP any, because it will fall down to that line, and then apply it to the interface. So let's do it. And what I'll do is I'll set the time and then we'll work around with the time. Okay. So first things first, let's set the time over here, which is very important to set the clock. So I'll say clock set. We'll say, let's say it is 11 a.m. on the 4th of March. Okay. Now, if you do show clock over here, it shows you the day of the week as well. It says Monday, 11 o'clock. So it's not lunchtime, right? So that deny would be in effect. So let's go ahead and create the time range now. The time range, based on the example, is weekdays from 1 to 3, denying 1 to 3 for telnet. So time range, I'll just put it in uppercase, lunch hours. Doesn't have to be, it's just a name. Whatever it is, you need to match. So I put it up uppercase. I'll say weekdays from 12 to 1. Again, 24-hour clock. So now, even without applying it, if I do show time range, it should tell me that this time is inactive. Why? It is, what time is it right now? I just set the clock to 11 on Monday. Okay? If it's at 11 on Monday, it's not lunchtime yet. And my requirement was to deny telnet during lunch hours. Okay? So let's go ahead and apply this ACL, create the ACL and apply this time range to it. 101, deny TCP from the 192.1.0 network to the 3 network for telnet. Normally I would stop over here, but now I'm going to link up this particular ACE, this particular line, to lunch hours. All right. And don't forget, you need to create another ACL entry for permitting the rest of the traffic. Now, if you do show IP access dash list, you will notice that this line over here right now is inactive. Why is it inactive? The reason it's inactive is because it is not lunch hours. Now, if I go to router, or not router, PC1, let's try to do a ping. Ping would have worked anyways, but just to make sure, 3.1, ping is working. And I'll do a telnet, it should also work because it's not lunch hours. I'm denying it only during lunch hours. So telnet. See, I'm in. Now, let's manually change the time over here. Make it lunch hours. So again, time range, inactive. Why? It is 11:02. So let's change the time manually. Clock set just so that we can test it. 12:15, 00, 4th March 2019. Show clock. Now it's 12:15. Now it's 12:15 on a Monday. So if I check my time range now, it becomes active because it's lunch hours. And not only that, if you take a look at the access list, you'll also notice that the lunch hour ACL is active and it will do the deny now. So the deny will be in place. So if I try to do the telnet that was working prior to this, will now stop working because that ACL is in effect. Oops. How come? Ooh, I haven't applied it. I don't think I applied this ACL. Yeah, I created it. I haven't applied it. IP access dash group 101 in. We'll do this. I want you to see the block and then we'll permit it. So now I won't be able to connect up because it would have blocked it. But let me try to do it one more time so you guys can see it from scratch. So now the time is in effect. So it should block it. The reason it worked because I had not applied the ACL. So I'll try it again because the time is lunch hours. It's not letting me go through. And you can see the time is lunch hours. It's active. So this ACL is active. All right. Now I'll change the clock. Clock set 11, 4th March 2019. Show time range. Now it'll be inactive again. So if it's inactive, I should be able to telnet in. So this did not work prior to this. Now if I try to do it, restart, there you go, I'm in. So I have the ability to activate, deactivate a line in the ACL based on the time of the day and the day of the week. All right, that is example number 1. Example number 2, I'm going to also bring in the absolute command, blocking the 2 network from accessing the 3 network for ICMP during work hours, which is between 9 to 5 on Monday to Saturday. Oh, they have a Saturday as well. So I cannot just use weekdays because weekdays only covers Monday through Friday. So if you take a look at my ACL over here, my time range over here, I have the periodic, but I also have to include the Saturday because that was not included in weekdays. And then I say absolute start January 2019. In our case, what I'll do is I'll have an absolute start to this on the 1st of April. And once I do that, I will then link it up to what? To my ACL. From 2 to 3, I want to deny what? Was it ICMP? So I need to fix this anyway, so might as well change the date as well. I'll say 1st April 2019. What I also need to fix over here is this. Deny ICMP 2 to 3, echo, because I wanted to block the ICMP, not telnet. Permit IP any, the rest of it is all good. So again, the objective over here, I want to deny ICMP during work hours from 2 to the 3 network. I'll do it on R2. But don't forget, I need to apply it. The last time I forgot to apply it. This time around, just to show you that I can also use time ranges with the named ACL. So we'll do it with the named ACL. Let's go to router 2 now. Again, important to set the time. Clock set. We'll say 11 a.m. 4th March 2019. So my time is set. Show clock. So it shows you that it is 11 a.m. on the 4th of March, which is a Monday. This is done. Now that this part is done, we can move forward and create my time range. My time range for the example is work hours, and work hours is Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. But it has to start from the 1st of next month. So time range, work hours, periodic, weekdays, that takes your Monday through Friday to 9 to 5. Also on Saturday, I work the same hours, but that is not included in my weekdays, so I need to add that. Again, it's an or, so it's okay. It's going to extend it. But now I don't want this to take effect until the 1st of next month. So absolute start 1st April, APR 2019. I do need to specify the time, so 0000 1st April. All right, so midnight 1st April, this goes into effect. So right now it is weekdays, it is from 9 to what do you call it, I'll do show clock. It is Monday, so it is a weekday, but it's inactive. Why is it inactive? It's not going to come into effect until the 1st of April. All right, so now that I've created it, I'll apply it to my access list, extended R to LAN, and this was for, I believe, ICMP, 2 to 3 for ICMP. 2 to 3 for ICMP, I want to do a deny. So deny ICMP 192.168.2.0, going towards the pre-network, and this is echo. Time range is work hours. Don't forget, permit the rest, otherwise it's going to deny the rest as well. Show IP access dash list. It'll show you that this line is not in effect right now. It's going to go into effect when the time range is in effect, and that is from show run time range. You can do a pipe section. So it'll go into effect from where? The 1st of April. Let's say we want to have it in effect right now. What I can do is I can do time range, work hours, absolute, start 00, and 1st of March 2019. Show run section time range. So you can only have the absolute, overwrote the other one. And now it is Monday. It is the 4th of March, so it's past that point. It's Monday. It is from 9 to 5. So it should, the time range should be active. It is active. So if it's active, the ACL that it's linked up to is active, so my ICMP will not work. If I go to router 2 now and try to ping 3, or not router 2, PC2, and try to ping 3, it is not gonna, it is working. Oh yeah, same thing. I need to apply it. IP access dash group R2 LAN inbound. So as soon as I apply it, now the block will be in effect. There you go. So 2 to 3 is blocked. I should still be able to go to 1. So if I go to 150, it is good. But if I change my time now, just to show you that it's not work hour, it's past the work hour time. So clock set, let's say it is 1800 on the 4th of March 2019. Show clock. It is past the 1700 hours. So my time range now is inactive. So now I can go ahead and do a ping. So if I go back over here and try to ping this guy, it should work. Before it was not working because it's past the work hour. So I'm allowed to do that. Generally, you would not do it for ping. You would generally do it for web access or something that you want to control during the day. So again, it gives you an extra level of control in terms of when do you want these access control entries to apply. As I said, different ACL entries can have different time zones, time ranges if you want to apply. In my example over here, one has a time range, the other one doesn't. And you can, again, take it to another level, say, oh, one ACL entry has one time range, the other one has another time range. A third ACL entry has a different time range. So basically the time range is not applied for the entire ACL, it's applied for what? Per access control entry. Good fun, huh? A lot of control that you get by using the time range in addition to just a plain ACL. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys in the next video. We'll be taking a look at the ACLs with IPv6.